Hey guys, it's Bridget with San Diego Seed Company, and you know that I talk a lot about starting your seeds in trays and transplanting them out. But I want to talk a little bit about direct sowing. What do you direct sow in the fall and how? And what are my pro tips on making sure that you can be successful? Before I get into that, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so you're notified anytime we put out a video and so that we can help you become a better gardener. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about what you direct sow, what you start from a tray like this, and I'm going to show you exactly my pro tips on how to easily and successfully start seeds in the ground where they're going to grow. So let's go check out. Let's go check out. Let me fix that. So let's go check it out. Let's check out, guys. I'd like to check out sometimes. Okay, so you guys know that I talk about starting seeds in trays so much. And in fact, it really is my preferred way to start seeds because I have full control over temperature, moisture. I also can really ensure that my plants germinate quickly and evenly. They're not going to get dug up by a cat walking by. There's so many different factors that you can control when you plant in a tray versus direct seeding. Now, keep in mind, that's just one way to do crops. And there are some crops that do very well by direct seeding. And that's when you plant in the ground exactly where you intend the plant to grow. Now we're in November right now, we're in fall, it's beautiful, the temperatures are finally getting cooler. We've actually had a little bit of rain, which is amazing, and that is an ideal time to start crops like lettuces, leafy green mixes directly into the ground. So what's amazing here is I've got a row, this is actually a Mesclun mix, so it's a mix of greens that I will grow and I will harvest very often. I will do what's called cut and come again. So I will harvest them, let them regrow, harvest them, let them regrow. And you can see I've got a really nice thick mat of very happy seedlings here that I direct sowed just a few days ago. Now what's my secret? Well, there's a couple different things here. One, irrigation. Look at this. So if you are going to direct seed any crop, I highly recommend that you ensure that the soil is moist the whole entire time the seeds are germinating. Now, one way to do that is to hand water, but it's very difficult to make sure the whole time the soil is moist, especially if you live in zone 9 and 10, where we get very hot temperatures in the fall. So by having it on irrigation, and I actually had this running, I think it was every 12 hours. So I'm running it more than once a day to ensure that the soil is moist the whole entire time. You'll see I have a really nice thick mat. I probably actually oversowed a little bit here, but because it's leafy greens, I don't really care. I'm just gonna let them grow and thrive, and I'm gonna harvest them, let them grow back, harvest them. I will put them in my smoothies, I will put them in my salad, I will put them in my omelets in the morning. All of these delicious greens I will consume all fall and winter long. What I recommend is if you have a smartphone, simply set an alarm and make sure it says, go water your babies at 8 o'clock in the morning and maybe at 3 o'clock in the afternoon to ensure that they're moist the whole time. The other key part of that is this. So this is called row cover. I talk about it all the time because it's one of my go-to tools in my toolkit to make sure that I can garden successfully here in zone 9 and 10. It's a very thin woven fabric, and the reason why I love it for direct sowing is after I sow the seeds, I can put it over the plant and it's gonna block out a little bit of the UV light. And the other key thing it's gonna do is it's gonna trap in moisture. Now, the reason why you like to use this over something like plastic, if I were to put plastic down, which might be something that you might think of, oh, why can't I use plastic? Well, it could actually fry the plants. This is still lightly breathable. And, excuse me, yeah, off my plants, thank you, sweetheart, you're so cute. Sorry about that. They always like to come in and just take over the video. Seriously? Okay, out of here. It will hold in a little bit of moisture, but it's still breathable and it's not gonna trap in any heat, which is important because if it's 90 degrees one day here in Southern California and you just planted tender leafy greens, that's not gonna do well. So this is called row cover, and that's another really important part of successfully direct sowing here in Southern California or zone 9 and 10. So that's Southern California, that's lots of Arizona, Texas, going all the way to Florida. All the southern states that experience very warm temperatures can benefit from using a product like row cover. Now the next thing you'll see is I've got a tray here of, this is actually seed starting mix. This is my little secret weapon that I like to use in direct sowing. And the reason why I like to use it is, you can see here, we use a lot of mulch in the garden. And I talk about mulch so much, it's something I'm kind of obsessed with. And we use it to hold in moisture. There's tons of benefits. Check out the videos. I won't ramble on about mulch right now. But because we use so much of it, it gets into the soil. And the soil ends up being, you know, full of hard particles, right? Or big pieces. If I were to use this soil from my garden to cover up my precious little seeds, I would be disappointed, because there's sticks and mulch and large pieces of things in here that's not going to do well when it's on top of your seeds. Now this, on the other hand, it's very thin, it's very light and fluffy. It has a lot of peat moss in it, which is going to hold in moisture. And so after I direct sow my seeds, I'll actually cover it with this type of soil to guarantee that they germinate quickly and evenly. So I want to show you exactly what I'm talking about. So let's actually go plant and direct seed some, So let's actually go direct sow some seeds. Okay, so let's actually drill into the very specific things when you're direct sowing that will make or break your success. Okay, so I've got a little area here between two little beautiful little baby cabbages that I'm gonna direct sow some lettuce, okay? There's enough room here, and it's a great area that I can utilize the space while my cabbages are growing to get bigger. So the first thing you want to do, like I mentioned earlier, is ensure that somehow there's constant and even moisture in that soil. That's either by using irrigation, I've got my irrigation set up here, or by ensuring that you put an alarm on your phone and you're watering once, maybe twice a day to keep that seed moist and that soil moist. So I've already tested my irrigation, it's set up, it's ready to go. Next thing I need to do is prep my soil. So if you are gardening in ground like this, or in a raised bed, you definitely want to break up the soil. And the reason why you want to do it is because it will hold on to more moisture if it's broken up, and air pockets can get in there, and it's not condensed and compacted so much that the moisture or the water that you put on the soil just sits on top. So you can see here I have beautiful soil, and this is from years and years and years and years of compost and mulch and love and moisture and love and sweat and tears. That's what makes soil look like that. You'll also notice that I do have lots of particles in my soil. I mean, there's mulch, there's all kinds of different pieces of things that are still breaking down. And so it's not the best soil to use to top my seeds. So I'll get into that here, so I've broken it up. There's no weeds, there's no rocks, there's no sticks. There is a fair bit of moisture already in here. I'm gonna make sure that I water afterwards and turn on the irrigation, but you can see it looks really good. So I'm gonna use red sales lettuce. Any leafy green, especially green mixes or loose leaf lettuce, is very easy to direct sow because you can plant it closely together. You're gonna harvest it with the cut and come again method, where you actually just chop the top of it off like a haircut. Very great choice for direct sowing. So I'm gonna take my seed here, and you'll notice I'm just going to put the seed directly on top of the soil. I'm spreading it out, and I'm planting a small area, but just enough here for demonstration. You'll notice that I didn't push the soil away and plant it and then push soil on top of it. That's because I actually don't want this soil on top of my seeds, because there's too many things in it that could prevent germination. Instead, I'm going to use potting mix or seed starting mix and my handy dandy sifter. I love this thing. If you don't have this, you can use a pasta strainer from the kitchen, or a screen, anything that is just going to keep large particles from falling onto your seeds. So what I like to do, I've already broken up this. I've used my fingers to break up the big chunks here. And you'll notice this is bone dry. And the reason why is because I want it to easily sift through the sifter here. Typically with seed starting mix or potting mix, you like to pre-moisten it before you plant into it. But because I'm using this as just a top layer, I actually want it dry so it easily comes out. Now you'll notice it comes out like a dust. I mean, it's really incredible. It's just a really light dusting. And the reason why that's great is two different reasons. One, you're gonna get a nice even layer on top of the seeds. And the other part of it is if you accidentally get a little heavy-handed and maybe you put a little too much on it, it's going to be such a fine layer of soil and so well sifted, the seeds can still evenly and quickly germinate. So now that I've got them covered, I'm gonna water it really well, and I wanna water it on a mist setting or something that's not going to totally blow the seeds out or wash too much soil on it. So let me grab the hose real quick. All right, so I've got my hose here and I've got it on a mist setting. I don't wanna use a setting that's gonna blow the soil over or wash away the seeds. I'm just basically going to water them in place. So I'm watering it so that the seeds really just get kind of stuck underneath that soil. They're not going anywhere. And the thing that you have to remember, especially if you don't have irrigation in your direct seeding, you have to be patient. It is not a good idea to just plant them, go, okay, it looks moist, I'm done. You might have to stand here or sit here as I am and water many, many times. Water, let it soak in, wait a few seconds, water, let it soak in. The point is that you want there to be ample moisture to really keep those seeds moist the whole time they're germinating. Now, if you live in a cooler environment or you live in an area where you don't get really warm temperatures in the fall, that might be all you have to do. I definitely know some farmers in the Pacific Northwest, they plant their seeds out, they put it on irrigation, they don't really worry about it because there's already a lot of moisture in the soil and they almost always get rain. We, on the other hand, do not. We live in a semi-arid area, and even though it's the fall and we might get some rain here and there typically isn't a lot of moisture in the soil, so you have to guarantee there is. One part of that is either irrigation or watering regularly. Another part of that is watering after you plant. And the last part of it is covering up your seedlings or the area that you planted. So I've got some row cover here that has obviously seen better days, but it doesn't matter. The point of this, if I can find the end, this looks like a Halloween costume. It's, woo, woo. Really, maybe it's time for a new one. It's fine. Then I'm going to cover it up, okay? And you'll see there's some holes in here. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to double this over. I will place either rocks or something on either side to make sure that this doesn't blow away. And in anywhere from 48 hours, as soon as just 2 days from now, up to maybe a week, all of those seeds will germinate and they will look like the area over there that we just looked at. Now, a common question I get is, well, I overseeded or things are too close together. Should I thin? Well, you always have to remember what is the end product. For something like a loose leaf lettuce, like a good example is this lettuce right behind. With this lettuce, because I'm not waiting to get actual heads of lettuce, I didn't thin these. They grew very close together and it's fine because I'm gonna come through with a pair of scissors and I'm going to cut them about an inch above the ground level and I'm going to eat the top and then they're going to regrow. That's what is called cut and come again lettuce. Because I don't care how crowded they are, I'm not going to thin them. Now, if it's something like, say, like an iceberg lettuce or a lettuce that you really, like Great Lakes, for example, you might want to thin those because you want to get these beautiful, delicious individual heads of lettuce. And for that to happen, there has to be room. So you have to ask yourself, what is my end goal here? What do I want the leafy greens to look like? Another example is arugula. Arugula is a crop that you can plant super close together. I never thin it because I don't care. I come through with scissors, I cut it just about an inch above the ground, and it regrows, and it doesn't matter how crowded it is because I'm just eating the individual leaves, not a head of lettuce. So hopefully all these tips will help you become successful at direct sowing. Even though I talk a lot about starting in trays, which is my preferred method, there is always a situation that warrants direct sowing, especially when you're talking about greens in the fall when the weather temperatures are cooler and you can actually be very successful at direct sowing. The smaller the seed that you're direct sowing, the more careful and precise you have to be about how you sow it into the ground, what type of soil you cover it with, and you have to really watch it. Things like beans and cucumbers or corn is a very large seeded crop and it's pretty resilient. You really can't mess it up. You stick it into the ground, you make sure it stays moist, it will germinate. This time of the year in the fall, you want to focus on direct sowing things like dark leafy greens. You can do kales, lettuce mixes, any of the green mixes like arugula that you want to eat and enjoy fresh in the garden. Those are very easy, quick to grow crops that you can direct sow now.